Every night, countless older adults go to bed feeling proud of the choices they've made. A healthy dinner, a piece of fruit, their evening medications, all part of the routine they believe is keeping them strong. But for some, the next morning brings something terrifying: slurred speech, sudden weakness, or a body that won't cooperate. As a brain doctor, I've seen this heartbreaking pattern again and again, and the most shocking part, the cause is something no one ever warned them. It's not smoking or lack of exercise, it's fruit. Yes, the same colorful natural foods we've been told are medicine from nature can quietly become silent stroke triggers for anyone over 60. The problem isn't the fruit itself, it's how our aging bodies process these once harmless foods, especially when combined with medications and the natural changes that come with time. Your kidneys filter more slowly now. Your liver processes medications with less efficiency. Your blood vessels have become more fragile and less flexible. Most importantly, your brain, the most delicate organ of all, has become increasingly sensitive to fluctuations in blood pressure, blood sugar, and blood clotting factors. What once nourished you at 30 or 40 can now tip the delicate balance your body works so hard to maintain. I've seen patients who followed every piece of conventional health advice, who never missed a medication, who walked daily and avoided junk food, yet still suffered strokes. The common thread: daily habits involving specific fruits that seemed innocent, even beneficial. A banana with morning medication, a bowl of grapes as an afternoon snack, fresh pineapple after dinner, orange juice to start the day. These routines are so familiar, so ordinary, they don't raise suspicion. But beneath the surface, they can trigger a cascade of changes, silent, invisible, and slow, that increase inflammation, stiffen arteries, thin the blood too much or not enough, and in the worst cases form blood clots that block oxygen to the brain. The tragedy is that many of these events are preventable, not with more medicine, but with better awareness of how food and age interact. Understanding which fruits pose hidden risks, when to eat them, and how they interact with your medications can mean the difference between waking up healthy and waking up in the ICU. Today I'm going to walk you through 9 fruits that millions of seniors eat daily, believing they're supporting their health. What you'll discover might shock you, but it could also save your life, because the truth is even nature's sweetest gifts can become silent threats when your body changes in ways no one ever warned you about. If you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you hit that button and turn on notifications so you never miss another health tip made just for you. If you find this helpful, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 to let me know how I can make better content for you. Let's start with the first fruit that's probably sitting in your kitchen right now. One that's been called the perfect snack, but could be setting you up for dangerous complications overnight. The first fruit that's silently threatening seniors across America sits innocently in fruit bowls everywhere: the banana. You've probably heard it your whole life. Bananas are the perfect snack. They're soft, easy to digest, high in potassium, and even labeled as heart healthy. For the average adult in their 30s or 40s, that may be true. But once you're past 60, everything changes, especially the way your kidneys, blood vessels, and heart handle. Sudden shifts in minerals like potassium. As we age, our kidneys naturally slow down. They don't filter as efficiently, especially if you're already dealing with high blood pressure, diabetes, or if you're on common medications like ACE inhibitors or diuretics. That means potassium, which bananas are loaded with, can begin to build up in your bloodstream. What happens then? Your heart starts to misfire, your blood vessels tighten, and worst of all, it creates conditions for blood clots to form in areas where blood should flow freely, particularly in the brain. I'll never forget a patient of mine, Mr. Raymond, 66, a retired carpenter from Ohio. He was active, sharp-minded, and took pride in eating healthy. Every morning he'd slice a banana over his oatmeal and take his blood pressure medication with orange juice. It was a routine he'd followed for over a year, but one morning his wife found him collapsed in the bathroom. He couldn't move his left side, his speech was slurred. At the hospital, scans revealed a devastating stroke. His blood potassium levels were dangerously high, interfering with his heart rhythm and triggering clot formation overnight. He had no idea that 2 simple bananas a day, when combined with his medication, were tipping his body into dangerous territory. The worst part? He went to bed feeling fine. The stroke happened silently, without warning, while he slept. Here's what most seniors are never told. You don't need that much potassium. Not from supplements, not from multiple servings of fruit, and especially not all at once. Just one large banana can contain over 450 milligrams of potassium, enough to throw off your body's balance if your kidneys aren't at peak performance. If you eat that banana at night when your circulation slows, your hydration dips, and your medication is still active, it creates a perfect storm: stiff arteries, sticky blood, and a clot that may never give you a second chance. So, what should you do if you're over 60, especially if you take heart or blood pressure medications? Limit yourself to half a banana per day, eaten in the morning, and always with protein like Greek yogurt or nuts to slow down absorption. Skip the banana smoothies, banana bread, and certainly avoid eating them before bed. Most importantly, talk to your doctor about how potassium-rich foods interact with your prescriptions. Your life may depend on it, because here's the truth. What used to be healthy for your body may not be safe anymore, not without understanding the full picture. If bananas shocked you, wait until you hear what grapes are doing to your blood sugar and brain vessels. What I'm about to tell you will likely change the way you snack forever. The second fruit creating silent havoc in senior health appears harmless enough. Grapes, sweet, juicy, refreshing, they feel as innocent as a breeze on a spring day. They're always on the fruit platter, in your cereal bowl, or served after Sunday lunch with the grandkids. But what if I told you that for someone over 60, especially those with hidden vascular issues or unstable blood sugar, grapes can be a silent trigger for stroke? It's easy to forget that grapes are concentrated sugar wrapped in delicate skin. Each small grape may not look threatening, but eating just a handful, especially the seedless extra sweet variety so common in grocery stores, can deliver a surge of natural glucose and fructose straight into your bloodstream. And for aging brains and blood vessels, that spike comes with a heavy cost. As we age, our bodies become less efficient at managing blood sugar. Our insulin response slows, our blood vessels grow more fragile, and when sugar levels spike quickly, it doesn't just stress your pancreas, it causes inflammation inside the delicate walls of your arteries, including those that feed your brain. When those arteries become inflamed, they begin to stiffen and narrow over time. The lining of the vessel can tear microscopically, and that's where blood clots begin to form. You may not feel it, you may not see it on a routine checkup, but your body is quietly building the perfect conditions for a silent stroke. Let me tell you about Mrs. Jeanette Morris, 80 years old, a retired school teacher from Missouri. She prided herself on living naturally, no soda, no processed food, always eating fresh fruits. Her favorite mid-morning snack? A generous bowl of red grapes. She'd snack on them while reading the paper or watching the news, sometimes going through nearly 2 cups without thinking twice. Then one day she noticed her vision blurring while writing a birthday card. Moments later, her hand trembled and she couldn't remember the word congratulations. Her daughter rushed her to the hospital fearing a stroke, and that's exactly what it was. A transient ischemic attack, often called a mini-stroke, caused by a clot that briefly blocked blood flow to the left side of her brain. Her lab showed sharp sugar spikes around midday, and her A1C, a long-term blood sugar marker, had crept into the pre-diabetic range, something she never suspected. But even more telling was the chronic low-grade inflammation in her vascular system, likely worsened by years of high-sugar fruit intake without protein or fiber to balance it out. Here's what I want you to understand. Even healthy foods can become dangerous without context. When you're over 60, the timing of what you eat and what you eat it with becomes just as important as the food itself. Grapes digest fast. They send sugar rushing through your veins. And if you eat them alone, especially while dehydrated or under stress, your body enters a state where blood thickens, vessels constrict, and clotting becomes more likely. You won't notice it that day, But night after night, week after week, it builds until the day it breaks. That's why I now tell my older patients, never eat grapes on an empty stomach, never buy the bowlful, pair them with protein, a few almonds, a slice of cheese, and always limit portions to a small handful, preferably during active hours when your body can burn the sugar. The third fruit that's quietly threatening senior health hides behind a tropical sunny reputation, pineapple. There's something about pineapple that makes it feel like sunshine in a bite, sweet, tangy, tropical. Many of my older patients enjoy it as a guilt-free treat after dinner, believing it's light, natural, and packed with enzymes that aid digestion. But what most seniors don't realize, and what deeply concerns me as a neurologist, is how this fruit, when eaten at the wrong time or in the wrong condition, can become a silent risk factor for stroke, particularly overnight. Pineapple contains bromelain, a natural enzyme that can break down proteins in your body. In small amounts, bromelain may aid digestion, but taken in excess, especially when combined with certain medications, it can interfere with blood clotting, reduce platelet function, and lead to unpredictable bleeding or clot formation. For someone over 60 with naturally thinner blood vessels and slower metabolism, that imbalance can have serious consequences. And let's not forget the sugar. A single cup of pineapple contains over 16 grams of natural sugar, which causes a rapid spike in blood glucose. Unlike berries or apples, pineapple has a high glycemic index, meaning it floods the bloodstream with sugar quickly. And when consumed late in the day, that spike isn't used for energy. It simply circulates, stressing your blood vessels while you sleep. But the most overlooked threat of all, the acid. Pineapple is one of the most acidic fruits in the American diet. It can irritate the esophagus, trigger silent reflux, and in some seniors, this reflux occurs without the typical burning pain. Instead, it causes microaspiration and nighttime airway pressure changes, which have been linked to reduced oxygen to the brain during sleep and increased risk of early morning strokes, the most deadly kind. I once treated a patient named Mrs. Clara Hughes, 77, a retired choir director from North Carolina. She was active, sharp, and deeply committed to eating clean. She avoided processed sweets and replaced her usual desserts with a few slices of fresh pineapple after dinner. For over a year, this became her nightly ritual. Then one morning, she woke up feeling foggy, disoriented. Her daughter noticed she was slurring her words and couldn't balance while walking. A CT scan revealed she had suffered a small posterior circulation stroke, one that affected her balance and speech. Her blood work showed elevated glucose levels, signs of nighttime reflux irritation, and platelet irregularities. The culprit? Not one single cause, but a perfect storm created by her nightly pineapple habit, acid reflux, sugar spikes, and bromelain's effect on blood clotting. It was a fruit she believed was helping her, but it nearly stole her independence. Clara's case is far from isolated. For seniors, digestion slows, vessel walls thin, and sleep becomes more fragile. Combine that with acidic, high-sugar fruit at night, and you risk blood vessels constricting during rest, the exact moment when the brain is most vulnerable. And yes, under the right circumstances, it creates conditions for blood clots to form silently, setting the stage for a stroke while you're asleep. So, what's the takeaway? If you love pineapple, enjoy it earlier in the day in small amounts, and never on an empty stomach. Avoid pairing it with blood-thinning medications unless your doctor advises otherwise. And most importantly, don't eat it before bed. Your brain needs stability, not surprises while you sleep, because at this stage in life, even a fruit can tip the balance. But if pineapple shocked you, wait until you hear the truth about watermelon, a fruit praised for hydration, yet under certain conditions it might be silently drying out your brain. The fourth fruit that's creating unexpected risks for seniors is one that seems like the ultimate healthy choice, watermelon. It's hard to find a fruit more beloved during summer in America. Chilled slices on the 4th of July, seed-spitting contest with grandkids, and the sweet, refreshing crunch after a hot afternoon in the garden. It feels harmless, even healthy. And yes, it is full of water, But for seniors, especially those with underlying cardiovascular issues or on certain medications, watermelon can quietly tip the body into danger, not through sugar or acid, but through what it takes away from your system. As a brain doctor, I've grown increasingly concerned about how often older adults unknowingly trigger their own stroke risks with foods they assume are safe. Watermelon is one of the biggest misconceptions. It may seem hydrating, but in reality, watermelon can act as a diuretic, meaning it makes you urinate more frequently. That's not a big deal for a 25-year-old, but for a 75-year-old with delicate circulation, borderline blood pressure, or who's already taking water pills or ACE inhibitors, that frequent urination can lead to overnight dehydration, one of the most dangerous silent triggers for stroke. Why? Because when your body becomes dehydrated, your blood thickens. Think of it like syrup slowly pouring through narrow tubes. Thick blood moves sluggishly, giving it more time to form clots, especially in arteries that are already stiffened by age. The brain, already sensitive to oxygen changes, becomes even more vulnerable when blood flow slows or gets interrupted. And this is especially true during the night, when the body's natural circulation dips and blood pressure drops. Let me tell you about Mr. Howard Larkin, an 82-year-old retired postal worker from Indiana. He was doing everything he thought was right, walking daily, avoiding processed sugar, and snacking only on healthy foods. One habit he had grown fond of was eating 2 or 3 large slices of watermelon after dinner, something to cool him down and keep him hydrated. But what he didn't realize was that he was also on a diuretic prescribed for mild heart failure. Between the medication and the natural water-pulling effect of the watermelon, Howard's body was shedding too much fluid overnight. One morning, Howard woke up with severe vertigo. When he tried to stand, he collapsed. At the hospital, his blood pressure was dangerously low, and his blood work showed signs of concentrated hemoglobin, a marker that his blood had thickened due to dehydration. Scans revealed a small ischemic stroke, likely caused by a clot forming in his narrowed arteries while he slept. His watermelons, it turns out, were doing the opposite of what he thought, drying him out, not hydrating him. What's worse is that the stroke affected Howard's sense of balance and coordination. Though he survived, he now walks with a cane and relies on assistance with daily tasks. A man who just a week earlier had been mowing his own lawn was now dependent on others for basic activities. I don't share this story to scare you unnecessarily. I share it because most seniors don't realize that even healthy foods can become dangerous when they interact with age, medication, and timing. Watermelon eaten late in the day, especially after medications that already lower fluid volume, creates a hidden risk. Thick blood, low pressure, slowed circulation, the 3 conditions that allow clots to form quietly and strike overnight. So if you enjoy watermelon, enjoy it wisely. Eat it earlier in the day and always pair it with electrolytes such as a pinch of salt or coconut water. If you're on diuretics, talk to your doctor before making it a daily habit. And most importantly, listen to your body. Dizziness in the morning, dry mouth overnight, or waking up confused are not normal. They are whispers of warning. The final fruits we need to discuss might be the most surprising of all: cherries, strawberries, and mangoes. These seemingly innocent choices carry hidden dangers that most seniors never consider, but they could be the difference between staying healthy and facing a medical emergency. Let's start with cherries, small, beautiful, and bursting with color. They've earned a reputation as one of the healthiest fruits in the American diet. Doctors recommend them for inflammation, arthritis, even heart health. But beneath their sweet taste lies a little-known risk, especially for older adults already on blood thinners or medications that affect clotting. The danger lies in a natural compound called salicylates, a blood-thinning substance that works similarly to aspirin. While this can be helpful in moderation for seniors whose blood is already thinned by medications like warfarin, Plavix, or even daily aspirin, adding more salicylates from food can push the body over the edge. The result? Blood that becomes too thin to clot properly, fragile vessels that leak, and in the worst cases, hemorrhagic stroke, bleeding inside the brain. I treated Mr. Daniel Rhodes, 84, a retired train conductor from Illinois. He'd had a mild heart attack years ago and was placed on daily low-dose aspirin. Every night he ended his dinner with a small bowl of cherries, nature's dessert, he'd call them. After several weeks, Daniel started experiencing headaches, dizziness, and occasional nausea. One morning, he woke up confused and vomiting. A CT scan revealed a brain bleed, not from high blood pressure or trauma, but because his blood had become too thin to clot and a small vessel in his brain had ruptured. Then there's strawberries. They look innocent, bright red, heart-shaped, sweet with just the right touch of tartness. But strawberries are one of the most heavily sprayed fruits in American agriculture. Year after year, they top the Environmental Working Group's Dirty Dozen list, a ranking of produce with the highest levels of pesticide residues. For seniors whose detox systems slow with age, those chemicals don't leave the body as easily. They build up in tissues, including the brain, where they can disrupt neurological function and weaken blood vessels from the inside out.